from a sold-out game day studio here.
It kind of is. I felt like when I walked in, there was a lot of people in the building today, and everybody was kind of buzzing.
Mondays are always kind
I
of
said hi to everybody, and they all responded, which is kind of weird.
Rare.
Usually it's like,
Usually the warehouse boys are picking their wounds from the weekend and not being very festive and talking to anybody. But yeah, for sure. How was your guys' weekend?
I was at
Next question.
I was at the Power Play Sports Card Show.
Okay.
We did breaks live from there. It was actually a lot of fun. Big shout out to Mr. Hood.
Jared?
Yeah, Jared came through, gave
Nice.
away a Tua Tagovailoa autographed jersey and whatnot with us.
Wow.
And
Beautiful.
then he came in last night and came back on last night and he gave away a Rondell Moore RPA number to 75.
Wow.
Like just because
Just in the gift of giving? Or?
just in the gift of giving because he hung out for the weekend and he was a big
Very
help,
nice.
so I appreciate him. So
Well, Jared, big shout out to you. Thanks, buddy, for contributing and jumping in. And
Very
he's
nice.
part of our family here. He comes in and does a lot of deals with Michael over there, the Pokemon master.
Michael Shoe?
Yeah, we know when Jared comes in, we just give him to Michael.
he told me that
Good
too.
little banter
That's
going
what he
back
told
and
me.
forth.
Me and Mike got a thing going on.
Yeah, they got a little thing going on. He had some pretty big cards with Michael too, opening some wax. And
Well, he got in breaks with me this week and hit an auto in every break he was in with me.
there you
Wow.
go.
I'm like,
That's
all
how
right.
it's done.
You can't beat that. Every now and then it pays to get a little lucky, right?
It
Yeah.
does.
Well, speaking about luck this weekend, NFL playoffs.
Mm-hmm.
My God, what a fun weekend. The games were all shit, except for the Raiders game, which is the only game that really had any kind of drama or anything attached to it. I know the Cowboys game, we'll get to that a little bit later.
Oh,
but
good.
that game was over pretty quick. It was just, are the 49ers going to blow this or not? And then in the Raiders game, big referee mistake with the inverted whistle, stuff that just can't be happening in the NFL playoffs.
Did you see they actually came out with a statement the next day?
I have not.
5 minutes
referee-
after it happened, the NFL posted up, we'll have a statement
and they did
after the game.
And they had a statement, and the statement was, which they must think we're all idiots.
Okay.
The statement is that they reviewed the play, and the whistle came after Tyler Boyd caught the touchdown.
That's not the case.
No,
Watch
not
the
even
video.
close.
That's what their statement said. We reviewed the tapes, and
Did it have any effect on the play? Absolutely not. The play was going to happen. It was going to be a touchdown either way because the whistle went off as the ball's in the air. And there was nobody around him to stop and yes, did people stop on the field? Yes. Was somebody going to knock that ball down? No, he was wide open. It was a great play by Burrow to make that throw.
But the defender, if you watch back, I'm not saying he would have, but the defender did stop. When the whistle blew, he just stopped.
He stopped.
Could he have tipped the ball away? Could he? I mean, you don't know. You don't know. He literally you heard a whistle and he stopped.
And
so I think in his head
yeah.
he thought that Burrow had stepped out of bounds because he wasn't watching.
I will tell you this, and I hear Chargers fans sitting here that obviously didn't get to go to the playoffs, but that happened so early, and the Raiders had a chance to recover from it. They kicked 2 field goals there in the fourth. They really needed a touchdown,
Right.
But
and
just like all year, they're missing. It's bad to say it. They're missing Henry Ruggs. I think if Henry Ruggs plays that game, I think they probably win. Because one thing that he always brought was a different element to that offense that Deshaun Jackson can't.
He can't
bring.
do it.
No.
He can't even get open. He's pretty bad at this point.
Yeah.
And so I think if they had another weapon, Renfro, where the hell was he at? He was nowhere to be found.
Well, because you have Bengals already kind of knew where they were at a couple weeks out, so they started game planning for 2 teams,
yeah.
right? And because I guarantee you they weren't game planning for the Colts.
Well, they'd already played
They
them
were
too,
against
so they
the Colts,
kind
and
of
they've already played
knew
them.
the Raiders' plan.
So you're probably getting that double team, you know what I mean?
To me, I felt like there was no surprises. I knew that the 49ers were a bad matchup for the Cowboys, so I kind of knew that it was going to go that way. And the Bengals were favored, and I bet the Bengals. I thought the Bengals were going to win that game.
Yeah.
So to me, there wasn't any big surprises this week.
Well, I think
there's
the biggest
2 big surprises.
I think the biggest surprises to me from watching I was on vacation. I was actually in Scottsdale relaxing with my family for the last 3 days, and I watched every single game. And the biggest surprise to me was how good the Bills are, and how they can just turn it on, and damn, that team's gonna be tough.
So you want to know something really crazy about the Bills in this game? Do you know it's the first time in a playoff game that a team has been perfect on offense? No punts.
We talked about that.
No fumbles.
Right before you got
turnovers.
Yeah. Literally a touchdown every time they got the ball, and that was it.
They scored a touchdown every possession, and they ate the clock up doing it.
So to me, it wasn't a surprise that they won. It was just how they won that they got. I kind of needed Josh Allen to do that the last week of the fantasy playoffs. That would have been nice to throw for over 300 yards and 5 touchdowns. But you know what? In my opinion, I think that they outcoached Bill Belichick.
Well, I'm gonna throw that out there, and I'm gonna tell you because I was knocking. If you recall, go back. I was knocking that teams had kind of figured Josh Allen out, and that offense that was in that game was not the offense being run middle of the season. That offense was different, and you got to give McDermott a lot of credit for that.
And looking back, like they were throwing the ball all around, and you know how cold it was. -6 degrees in that game. And they're still flinging that rock around like it was nothing. What up, Jared?
Not only that, but like Stephon Diggs didn't have a monster game. So you take the number one guy out, which is what Belichick kind of does. He's like always goes for that one guy that he's going to shut down. And yeah, Diggs had a couple of catches, but he didn't have the Stephon Diggs game. And he still threw for like 5 touchdowns or 4 touchdowns or whatever it was. Yeah, it's like, and you took Diggs out basically of the game. So it's okay, well, we'll just go to Isaiah McKenzie and we'll go to Dawson Knox. And it just spread all around. I don't know. To me, it was from top to bottom. It was the most perfect game that they could have played. And you're talking about not having Tre'Davious White on defense, like their shutdown corner. He's out for the year.
He's their best player.
Yeah. So does either of you think that going forward, obviously Josh Allen is the Bills' quarterback of the future as well? Can Mac Jones beat him in this division, like going forward?
Not at this point. I watched a Patriots team that exposed its weaknesses, which were the holes on the offensive line, right, and the trouble in the secondary. Those are 2 areas that they are really hurting on because they were able to actually put some pressure on Josh Allen. Josh Allen just stayed.
Yeah,
he stayed in the pocket.
Well, that's one thing you're always going to get with a Patriots defense.
Yeah,
is they're going to come play hard. They're going to play the right scheme because Belichick's going to put them in the right scheme. But no. They will never compete again for the division.
I heard another
in.
analyst was talking about, Mac will be fine. He's got Belichick and all this. And I started thinking about this. You know what? I don't know that he's going to have Belichick. I don't know if maybe after next year, Belichick's not done. I'm looking at it and I'm seeing where this team is kind of going, how it's going to be built and everything. And you might be seeing him hand the.
He might retire. Like he might.
Yeah, I think
he already said he's coming back this year because someone asked the question. He was like, "That's a stupid question." Of course I am. That type of thing. But it gets to be a point to where he's gonna stop when he's done, when he wants to be done. They're not able to fire him mid-season.
No,
it's when Belichick wants to be done. That's when he'll be done. Yeah. But Mac Jones, just to state the case that we brought up a couple of weeks ago, he played like a rookie, right? And that's why rookies don't win Super Bowls. That's why rookies don't have long playoff runs. Is because it's not a knock against Mac Jones. He'll be just fine, I think. Yeah. It's just it's a different ballgame. The playoffs are a different ballgame. He played like a rookie. He played like a rookie quarterback.
Well, we talked about 5 touchdowns there with Josh Allen. You know who else had 5 touchdowns?
Mahomes?
Your homie.
Yeah.
Mahomes it was like business as usual. The dude had grass from one end of his jersey to the other. He'd been all over the field doing all kinds of stuff, and and that wasn't all the touchdowns that got thrown.
No, yeah.
There was another touchdown thrown in the game.
That was not Mahomes.
That was not Mahomes.
Who was it?
Travis Kelce.
Wow.
Travis Kelce. Cool. They ran a trick play, flanked out Mahomes, and Kelce drops back, and you could tell he was a little uncomfortable with the throw, but he fires it off.
Oh, yeah.
And, but that was the type of game plan that I kind of expected them to come with, and I actually posted on our story on Insta. I had 4 options for you. Will they beat, after the Bills win, will the Chiefs end up winning by 30? Or will they win by 7, 3?
Yes.
And I said by 30, Josh Allen, hold my beer.
Yeah.
And they didn't win by 30, but they were leading by 30 at one point in the game, right?
And they
probably could have won by 45.
They called the dogs.
They called the dogs
right.
off. But Jay and I were talking about this earlier before we went live. So we feel the AFC Championship is this weekend with the Chiefs and the
Of
Bills.
course.
Whoever wins that game is going to win the AFC 100%.
That's right.
In my opinion,
Yep.
they're going to win it 100%. And I also think that in the NFC, it's probably going to be the Green Bay or 49ers. Both of those two teams look to me as whoever wins that game is going to go on to the championship.
And see, I hate to say it, and I hate because I want to agree with you, okay? Because I have a feeling it's going to be the same way, but I don't trust Green Bay against San Francisco because they've played each other well before in the past, and the one thing that Green Bay can't do on defense is stop the run. And San Fran has a lot of guys that run the ball. They don't just have one running back they throw out there, right? They throw Debo in the backfield. They throw Elijah Mitchell. They, of course, still have Trey Sermon back there. Yeah. All Garoppolo has to do is manage the game and not make mistakes, right? And they have a good defense. If Bosa was playing, I'd feel a lot more confident in San Fran winning that game in Green Bay, right, and having an upset. But the problem is say they do go into Green Bay and say they do upset them. Now they have a matchup with more than likely the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, right? And what's the one thing that Tampa Bay does well is stop the run.
Yeah.
Now you force Garoppolo to throw, and even with a suspect passing defense like Tampa Bay has, you're going to force him into errors.
Yeah.
So, unfortunately, I think that it's going to be Tampa Bay in the Super Bowl again. And I don't want to see that, but everything's pointing that way again. I just don't see who's going to beat them.
Jared was asking online what are our predictions for the Super Bowl after the first week. Let's do a quick little rundown. I kind of already gave you mine. I think it's going to be Green Bay and Buffalo is who I think is going to be in the Super Bowl, in my opinion. Who do you think after the first week of playoffs? Well, mind you, we still have a game tonight, which is so...
Two teams that are not going to win. Two teams that are not going to win.
I think they just did it because it's Martin Luther King Day.
Oh, so they wanted some action, yeah.
So maybe they wanted to...
Or they wanted me to have a halftime blitz one more week.
They did.
Yeah,
they did.
Well,
they're pushing the Monday night because of adding the extra week of the season. They're like, hey, where else can we add an extra Monday night game? And that's really what it is. And I don't mind it, like having a primetime playoff game and a new... Super wildcard weekend, it's amazing.
As a fan, I love it.
Me too.
But if I was those teams, I'd be pissed. I lose an extra day of preparation going into the next week.
Yeah, but the Bengals had a day less because they played on Saturday. The argument's there the whole way.
I know, but
it
matters. Like in this day and age, you give these geniuses, you give these guys like Kyle Shanahan and these guys an extra day to prepare for you. It's not fair. It should be on the same. It's a playoffs. Yeah. They should be all on the same playing field.
They should have made Shanahan go sit there and watch the game and have no electronics. No, I'm just joking.
Well, it should have been 3 games Saturday, 3 games Sunday instead of 2, 3, and 1.
Yeah.
But either way, and it's a late game too, so it's a night game. It's a Monday night game.
Or if you want to do the Monday nights thing, then do Sunday and Monday.
Right.
Do 3 games Sunday, 3 games Monday. We're all off. Everybody's off on Martin Luther King Day.
Yeah.
Give us a full day of Monday football. Like they could have did it differently. It is what it is. We'll see a game tonight. Yeah. I'm thinking the Cardinals are going to win. Who do you guys got?
I have a tendency to lean towards the Rams in this game, and the only reason I lean towards them in this spot is that generally on primetime games, the Rams have kind of showed up. Mm-hmm. And the Cardinals so far this year, I don't think really have.
No.
So that's something that tells me that when the lights are on, they might be a little bright for some of those guys. I don't know. We'll see.
I like the Rams.
And I still feel good. I feel good about having Matthew Stafford at quarterback, and I think that this is a chance for him to really go out and prove that he is a little bit of a next level quarterback and just was in Detroit for all those years.
And it is. It's Stafford's game to win tonight.
For sure. It's definitely that thing. He has to look good and he has to
play well. They have to win the game. Just for his legacy and everything that he's done. He's always been a top, probably 10 quarterback in the NFL. And I think nobody will ever disagree. Like, he has a top 10 arm.
And he can throw it through your chest.
Mm-hmm. Let's see if he can actually win a playoff game. It's going to be rocking tonight, so we'll see what happens.
That will be.
Yeah, my prediction is Buffalo and Tampa Bay. That's not necessarily who I would like to see. I would like to see Buffalo and anybody but Tampa Bay. I would like to see like Buffalo and San Francisco, to be honest with you. I think that would be a good game. But I think it's going to be Buffalo, Tampa Bay for my
Bring back the 90s, Buffalo, San Francisco.
Yeah. Why not? You saw Jim Kelly wearing the Josh Allen jersey, right?
Yeah, right, yeah. Why not?
Let's do it
back.
I kind of lean a little more. I kind of believe a lot more in the Chiefs than I think a lot of other people do.
Well, you can never count them out.
I'm going to tell you
I'm not counting them out.
That game this weekend,
it's going to be fun.
It's going to be an absolute boat race. Mm-hmm. They're both going to just be going
Bet the over.
Bet the over for sure.
I don't think either team's going to stop them for...
If it's 70, bet the over.
Well, that's what I did in the Raiders-Bengals game because I knew that neither defense could stop anybody, and they march all the way down the field, and they get field goal. I'm like, well, if they're going to keep getting field goals, I'm done. And that's what they kept doing, is just getting field goal. I was like, well, there you go. There goes my over. I got close.
You got close. They scored that Raiders side of the game. You're in.
Yes.
Because I was thinking the same thing. Because before I left, I forgot to put my bets in. So I'm like, man, I really would have liked the over in this game.
Yeah.
Going into it, I'm like, I really want the over.
Yeah.
Glad I didn't because that would have lost.
This is a field goal city.
Oh, bad. Moving on let's go into Jay's fantasy roundup.
All right, so obviously quite a few games on for today with Martin Luther King Day going on. I know some of them actually already started. 2 key injuries to throw out there. KD, Kevin Durant, injured his knee, and also Zach LaVine injured his knee. So
Zach's been having a good year too.
Yes, so that's 2 kind of key injuries. Luckily, LaMarcus Aldridge is supposed to come back, so that may help out a little bit. Also, CJ McCollum and Bam Adebayo is coming back. So those are 3 injuries with those guys coming back that could cut into those guys' minutes, like we talked about last week with the guys that are going to get boosted minutes.
Right.
Now you have 3, not studs, but 3 pretty solid players coming back that may cut into those minutes of those guys you picked up on waivers before. A few ads to talk about. Patrick Beverley is probably the number 1 ad. He's owned in less than 50% of Yahoo. Patrick Beverley, for the T-Wolves. A few other guys just to run down real quick. Jalen Suggs, Orlando Magic is another good ad. KCP from the Wizards. Kentavious Caldwell-Pope, Royce O'Neal from the Utah Jazz, DeAndre Hunter from the Atlanta Hawks, and Lance Stevenson, a blast from the past.
From where? Because football season's over for me now. So
now you're into the Jazz. There we go. He's got the Jazz rocking.
He does have the Jazz rocking. He threw away his Chargers hat for this year. Royce O'Neal. You got any juice on him?
Royce O'Neal, he is
a Jazz player.
He is just one of those guys that just nose to the grindstone.
Mm-hmm.
He's
a worker.
Like blowouts, he plays hard. Close games, he plays hard. Like he's just one of those guys. And because it's kind of become a fan favorite. Like people love that guy.
People love the hardworking guy that is gonna
and
do
he
whatever.
shows. And he shows.
That's great. I love that.
And I love the fact that you brought up who was it? Suggs.
Jalen Suggs, yeah.
Because Suggs is almost, in a way, kind of a surprise to a lot of people because I think that the thoughts on him where he was a couple years out for development, and it's almost like quite the opposite. Mm-hmm. The guy just has shown you that he's going to get it done.
Right.
And then, one thing in talking with some of this stuff too is like, don't forget, guys, there's guys on Cleveland that can actually play.
Yes.
Okay. That Mobley is
legit.
Yes,
dude.
he is.
He is a stud.
Yeah.
I was looking into some of his stuff. I'm interested to see because none of the NBA logoed uniform stuff has came out yet with Mobley on it, but I'm interested to see
Hoops
what
has
his...
it.
Well,
Hoops has him, but
it's not really a product.
The autos are there though.
Yeah,
the autos are doing well, but
the autos are.
Yeah.
But for me, I'm ready for the big stuff, and I can't wait. Yeah. One big release is going to be first off the line NBA Flawless this week. Yeah. We will not have any because the starting price is already at $12,500, and it's going to go down $25 for. So you're looking for one briefcase of Flawless NBA is going to cost you somewhere in the $10K range. It's
insane.
It's absurd to me.
Yeah.
Like I don't understand. I don't get it. I love it if guys buy it and they hit something huge.
Well, the reason I get it is because it's the one sport that translates international so well. Yeah. And that's, because even, soccer is big internationally, but here it's still not quite what it could be. But basketball translates like that.
It's just tough, like from his type of standpoint, though, is that it's tough to bring a product in like that and have that kind of sticker price on it. Yeah. And then, we genuinely want people to hit monsters out of the stuff. We have no skin in the game. It's not like our shop goes down if they hit a big stud. Like we want them to hit that, and then you get a $10,000 product in like that, and they don't. It's like, you feel almost as bad as they do. Like, you feel guilty almost. It's like, we don't package this shit here.
No.
It's like,
100%.
but it's like, you feel a little bit of guilt.
Yeah.
We've talked about that, you know, a multitude of times where we've discussed some of the expensive product and just, you know, where is it in the worth it factor for the customer?
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
and you guys, everybody that's been with me since 2016 knows I'll never put up anything in the break group or in the shop that, you know, that I don't think is worth it.
Yeah.
We'll have some, but we won't put it out. We'll
Yeah.
sell it on the open market to somebody that
Yeah.
is trying to hit some huge monsters
Yeah.
and stuff. I just don't like my guys to get buried. I don't like them to buy in for a big chunk of change and just get buried in it, and it's like you have zero chance to make your money back.
Right.
So
Well, and that's even it. Like, even in the small break stuff that we've done, we've you know, we've continued to, hey, if you missed, we toss in some cards or
Right.
you know, whatever it is, just to make sure that you got something, because we understand, you know, we want you guys to hit. And
of course,
so yeah, the product
We
like
want
that makes it tough.
we want everybody to hit.
Yes.
Our number one goal is to make sure that everybody hits, but it just doesn't happen all the
Yeah.
time. And on a product when there's only 8 cards in there, and you're dropping 10K, that's $1,200 a card.
Yeah, at least a small
That's
margin.
Yeah.
You better hope that 101 or
Yeah.
nasty Steph Curry patch auto or something
Yeah.
is in there, and there'll be guys that call that day and want to buy it, and hey man, I'm going to be pulling for you. I won't be opening, but I sure in the hell will be pulling for them.
Mhm.
That's for sure. One thing that happened over the week, I know Steve and I went live during the middle of the week because everybody was talking about it. It took over the Pokemon world, and we're all kind of involved in it now, and Steve is definitely involved in it big time. But Logan Paul, he cracked open his $3.5 million case. He went to Chicago to see if it was real, and it wasn't real. It was fake.
So now that we have a little bit more information about it, so they filmed that on Saturday. So they actually did get together on Saturday, whereas people thought it didn't happen. And then after that, they didn't release the video till midweek, right? Well, we got some information that just came out today. This is from the Daily Mirror. So Lajin San is who actually sold the original case to Logan Paul. He bought it from another source.
And hold on, let's give a little side
Yeah.
on Lajin San.
Yeah.
He's not only a collector.
Yeah.
He is the collector.
The collector.
He's the guy in
Yeah.
not just Pokemon, but also in sports. He
Yeah.
has probably the single, maybe, I don't know what Ken Golden's done over the years, but there's certain guys, and he is one of them that's probably number one in all the markets. He has the biggest stuff. He buys the biggest stuff. He is the guy. So he's more credible than anybody. So it's not like he knew, obviously, that it was fake when he sold it to Logan.
So apparently he went on social media and he told people, he said, look, just so you guys know, I gave Logan his money back. I gave him his $3.5 million. You know, we squashed that. Now I need to go see if I'm going to get retribution back from, you know, the original sellers.
Just keep tracing it back.
Yeah,
basically.
and you know, I mean, that's great, and that's good for the industry. And the guy that we got to talk about, and it's on there, is at Rattle Pokemon Rattle. Rattle's the one that exposed this whole thing. He's the one that really put it out there. He had a whole series on YouTube of videos that are definitely interesting to watch, and I don't think it's just in the Pokemon world. I think this is a great watch for anybody who's in the sports card world. You want to get educated on some stuff, this guy could educate you. He really dug deep, and I think that was big. And so I think that that's a really big play. And then Jimmy and I, we talked a little bit about BBCE, and this is actually part of the investments. We're not even going to run the promo this week. This is part of my investments for the week, which was right now, any of your BBCE stuff is a hold. You're going to pull it off the shelf and hold it. And it's as weird as it is, I can't even make this up, right? As weird as it is, I quickly went and just looked at a couple of things, and a $500 difference in 3 days on 84 tops being BBCE wrapped, right? $500 difference in 3 days in sales on a product that was not that those buy it now prices you see sliced off there, they were selling for $6,000.
Yeah.
So the first one selling for $4,000 was already an implication, and then the second one selling for $3,500 immediately showed you that the marketplace had some hesitancy. Some guys are going to pull the trigger. Some people like to gamble. Some people like to get lucky. And so if you have BBCE stuff, hold. We're going to have to find the correction in the marketplace.
Well, we speculated that it would come down probably 30 to 40%. Yeah. And I think we were right on about 30 to 40%. Yeah. So if you are a believer in BCBE and you're a believer in holding wax, it's a great time for you to buy. Because you could go out there and buy, and me personally, I'm not coming anywhere near it with any of my money. I'm staying far as away as I can, and I'm going to watch from the outside looking in and saying, let's see what happens with this.
And I had a conversation, so I made a phone call to Collectors Archive Services after everything aired and talked to them because they grade boxes and talked to them about a potential contingency and part of our discussion.
Yeah.
And they're looking into it. I don't know that they will, but I suggested off of your suggestion to offer a money-back guarantee, to take in anything that's BBCE wrapped, unwrap it, verify it, and then encapsulate it into acrylic, grade it, which the grading element I think then becomes a lot bigger of a deal because now you're going to have graded boxes that'll be out there that are going to be certified authentic, and offering a money back guarantee in that type of situation I think is something that would be beneficial to them. And the thing is, guys, if you're one of those guys that's like, I want to gamble, I'm going to buy it. The easiest way to buy this stuff is go check the registries, see if it was graded, within 2 or 3 years of the release date, and anything after that, I would be a little more speculative of, and anything closer to it, then I would feel a lot better about. That would be my advice on that.
What do you all think, like just personally, what do you all think the problem is with that type of stuff? Like, is it someone just being lazy and just being like, yeah, that's what it is, and not like really looking into it, or someone just what do you guys think happened? Like, what do you guys think happened? Like, was there like an inside job where it was sent there and they took the real product and they put this fake stuff in it and then rewrapped it and thinking that no one would know, or do you think they were just someone being lazy and being like, yeah, that's it, let's just move it along type of thing?
I think it has to do the same thing with grading sports cards. When you grade a sports card, it depends on who you get, on what day, how they're feeling, what they're doing, if they're overwhelmed, if they have too many stuff to do, if their boss is looking over. When you add the human element into it, it makes it very hard to make it cut and dry for everybody to be on the same playing field, and the same thing with this boxes. We don't know who looked at the box. We don't know how educated they were in that specific box. Because at BCBE, I'm sure they get thousands of boxes a week.
Right.
And they're getting not just 1990s score football, but they're getting Topps packs, they're getting Pokemon packs, they're getting a G.I. Joe pack, they're getting it all. It's all coming in, and they're looking at it and like, yep, looks good to me. They don't have any more knowledge than this guy standing right here to do it.
Right. They need someone like Brandon. They need someone like the banker
that will sit there for 7 hours and literally look and look and
He's
look.
always on his A game.
Yes. But they're only going to get one item per day at that point. But that's probably not a very good profitable business.
Golden was in here afterwards, and Golden and I had a little bit of a conversation in regards to this, and he was talking about the grading, he was talking about this, and I said, look, if it was me, if I'm one of those grading companies, if I had that, I'm starting universities across the United States, and I'm running universities, and you're going to go to the university to learn to do this, to be able to get a job, and then you'll be able to get a job, and then you can come intern with me, and then I'll give you, you're going to work the real process.
Right.
And right now, I feel like that's not happening. And for BBCE, Steve is the man. He is the guy in the industry that everybody had is the highest respect, for.
Hands down. Yeah.
And right now, credibility, it doesn't matter if you were right 1,000 times. The one time you're wrong is the point that they're going to make the most, effort into. And so that's kind of where we're at, and it's going to be that speculation and that whole situation. And so, and we had the two black guys on one day in the sports card world, because then we also had the guys from Backyard Breaks who did the T-Log giveaway and then didn't give it away, and then there's all the speculation. And I mean, even beyond that, it's really brought into question over the 5 days or so that it's been on absolute integrity in this community. And I think that's really been brought to play, and it's really pointed out a lot of the people that have been kind of, a little shifty or a little shisty, the people that really haven't presented things in the right way. You had, some of those online communities that, host these breakers that, put out statements saying, what you do. Now they're having to say this, and I don't know why you're having to say this. Like, what you do outside of our platform needs to also uphold our community standards, not just while you're on stream.
Right.
It's the same thing there when you look at BBCE, their response, horribly done. In fact, this is how bad it was. BBCE wrote their response on their iPad in their notes, screenshotted it, and posted that as their official response to this box.
Almost like they just didn't really care. It was like, hey,
at that point, right? If you're a true consumer for them and they're in the stuff that they're involved with, you kind of feel like you got slapped in the face. The guys at Backyard, they kind of mimicked their response of how they did it. Kind of like, well, it wasn't quite our fault, but because you guys are mad, we're going to go ahead and try to right the ship because, we realize that you guys are mad and that's what matters. Not, we were wrong, here's where we messed up.
Yeah.
Let us be better, right? So it is just one of those things that, like, you start looking at the absolute integrity, and I just feel like in our industry, it needs stepped up. There's no way that should have been the response for BBC. You know what they should have done? Should have went to Sports Card Investor, should have went to Ken Golden, they should have sat down, and they should have did a little podcast, and they should have talked about the process, the day they got it, the day it was gone, what was good, what wasn't good, what has happened, is there anything in question, what are our concerns, like, should have answered questions, and really taken fire and heat for it, rather than posting a screenshot from your notes in your
and
iPad.
we'll see what it does here in the near future for that company. They were the top. We'll see if they continue.
Well, they were acquired by PSA.
Yes.
So he was working for PSA when this happened.
Yeah, and you're right with the training and the colleges for the grading stuff. The problem is right now, no one has the time. Speaking from like the Beckett's and the PSA to get out there and do this. Right now, they're still trying to catch up. So I think we're a year away from somebody, either one of those two, doing something similar to that. And there's been classes, there's been stuff where you can apply to be a grader and they send you in and you take the class and then they pick and choose who they want to be their graders. Right now, they're just picking anybody.
Right.
Because they got millions and millions of cards backlogged.
Right.
And they just want to make that
money. They need to hurry up and get it out.
Make the money as fast as possible, get the cards back out to the consumers right away, and keep moving on. So we'll see what happens.
That becomes the question, and then the other investment piece I had for you guys just real quick is, although this guy's a long-term hold, with Joe Burrow, we saw it overnight, the What Have You Done For Me Lately League, right? We saw $60 Burrow selling for $80, right? If you had those like short-term, like mid-range cards that, I liked it, it's nice, but it's not for my PC or whatever it might be, it's a great time to put it in the market, right? You're going to have, starting at about 4 o'clock today, the King of the North is going to be talked about, and whether he can match up with Mahomes, whether he can match up with Allen, and that conversation is going to happen all day, all while the NFC plays.
Yeah.
All you're going to hear is AFC quarterbacks.
Could Cincinnati upset Tennessee?
I think so.
I think they could.
Yeah. I think they could. Although it's not fair. Tannehill isn't pretty, but he's efficient.
I know. I'm not saying that they're going to.
He's efficient, and
but
he's like,
could they?
No, 100%. They got to.
And here's the thing. Henry's back.
Yeah.
For that game. And if Henry is 75% of Henry, they better be able to stop the run. Because he'll put 120 up 75% of himself.
Cincinnati can't. Cincinnati right now is number 32 against the run.
Right, and that's what I'm saying is like they better be on the absolute better than A game.
Getting nuggets dropped on you. I didn't know that, so looks like I'll be betting Tennessee this
year. Cincinnati's, right? They're 32nd against the run.
Yeah.
good to know.
Little tidbit for you. That's a
which is why like the
you.
Raiders were able to move the ball the way they did because
Josh Jacobs
they had to
game,
worry about
behind.
Josh Jacobs the whole game.
And the
was
Raiders
Josh
were playing
Jacobs,
from behind too.
Josh Jacobs isn't the same running back, and I like Josh Jacobs. Jacobs is not the same running back that Derrick Henry is, and he's definitely not running behind the offensive line that Derrick Henry is.
I think the Tennessee would be smart to only play Henry partially and not even give him a full workload because of the way Foreman and Hilliard have been running.
Yeah.
Yeah, you basically come back and you give Henry 15 carries instead of his usual 22 to 25.
I wouldn't be surprised if you see them in a two-back set all game.
Right.
All game long, split backs. One of the two of them's getting the ball. One of them's a decoy. The other one's getting the ball.
And once they start falling asleep, lulling them with the run, then you go over the top to A.J. Brown.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, I'm just wondering if Cincinnati even has an outside realm of upsetting them, and yeah, I mean, I guess they do, but yeah, if Tennessee sticks to their game plan, they're gonna win.
I think now that we kind of this first week of playoff games, you kind of got out all the pretenders. We knew the Raiders were never gonna win.
Right.
We knew the Steelers were never going to win.
Cowboys weren't.
We knew the Cowboys. Well,
and the Eagles.
You knew the Eagles. The three that I'm talking about are the Eagles, the Steelers, and the Raiders. You knew going into it they shouldn't even probably be in the playoffs.
Right.
Let alone be like competitive in these games. They were never going to be competitive.
I do like that the Eagles made the playoffs because I thought that was a really nice thing for that team to make the playoffs. With some of the adversity that they had, some of the issues they had, some of the glaring gaps and holes they had, that's coaching. That's not players on the field.
Yeah, no, I think
they played in the NFC East, which is clearly weak because the Cowboys went 6-0 in the East and didn't beat anybody with a winning record outside of the East. What did they go in the
playoffs? I'm just joking. Sorry.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Well, I'm agreeing. The NFC East is terrible, and the two teams that made it, which I can't believe two teams made it, but the two teams that made it.
But that's what I think of because everybody keeps saying the NFC East is so bad. They put two teams in the playoffs. Who else in the NFC put two teams in the playoffs? Only one other division.
Yeah,
that's it.
West.
So if they're that bad, how are the other two divisions that only put one team in?
Right.
So obviously they're worse than the NFC East.
Correct.
Well, the NFC South was
the top
rough.
are good for the NFC East. The bottom are really bad. The Giants and the Redskins are really bad. But for me, it is what it is.
Well, even for 5 games, the Redskins were the best team in football for 5 games.
Yeah. And then they got beat up. They got a lot of injuries on that team.
Yeah.
The defenses in the NFC East, you go from the Eagles, Cowboys, they're all good.
Yeah,
the defenses are good. The offenses are what brings a lot of people's attention, and that they can't score. Like, they just can't. Giants can't score.
And I have to ask this, and I'm not here to beat you up about it, but I did have to ask this, and this is something I want to bring up. My investments, that's what I had for you this week, is how does Dak pull the ball down and just run right there at the end of the game?
Fire everybody.
Yeah.
No, but
how
do you do that in that position? You're a guy who started the year in the MVP discussion as a runaway MVP favorite. Not he might be. It was there's Dak and everyone else.
Yeah.
And then a decision like that is made in a game.
I never put a lot of thought to a process of a last drive or the last series of a game because in those situations you shouldn't be in those situations anyway.
In the first place.
We should be looking back at the first 3 quarters, figuring out how in the first half the Dallas Cowboys could not move the ball against the San Francisco 49ers. You had the best offense in football. And you couldn't move the ball.
Supposedly, yeah. Lamb had 1 target in the entire first half with no catches. Zeke was getting nowhere. Our offensive line wasn't blocking. I mean, you can make up every excuse in the book, and I'm not making up excuses. I'm just saying that, like he said, it shouldn't have come down to that last play anyways. But then if you're going to sit there and nitpick every little thing, if the referee doesn't tackle Dak as he's coming to touch the ball, then he probably does have 2 seconds to get one more shot off. Granted, it's going to be a 25-yard passing play to the end zone, and they probably knock it down anyways. But I mean, you watch the replay, but everyone's on the line, and him coming up, that easily wasted 3 seconds.
The knock is the run that the pocket was still kind of there. He still had a lane to throw in, and he just pulled it and ran. That's a decision that's made. That is not
split-second decision.
But it's still a decision by a quarterback who is at his 100% best, is trying to show the world that he should be in the discussion as one of the better quarterbacks. And that was the mistake. And that's not a mistake. That's not a mistake. Even I gotta say it, that's not a mistake. I didn't see Josh Allen when they were down in the panic times doing stuff like that. I didn't see any mistakes like that with those teams.
But nobody's putting
but the playoff is different than
up in those upper echelons.
Yeah,
Everybody knows Dak's place. Dak's a good quarterback. He's probably not going to win you games, but he's definitely not going to lose you games. He's in that second tier of guys. He's not with the Josh Allens. He's not with the Patrick Mahomes. He's never
Aaron Rodgers or Tom Brady. He's not that guy.
He's not, and he's never been that guy. But can he win with a good defense and all the weapons that he has around him? Absolutely. And I think Jay's right. They need to clean house. They should 100% let both offense and defense coordinators go off to take head coaching jobs somewhere and fire McCarthy.
Yep.
That's the only thing that they can do to salvage what they have left. They got a prime opportunity with that roster is stacked.
Yes. It should have been way better. When you look at that, there's not very many holes on that roster. So that tells you one of two things is that it's either the coaching or another branch of the coaching is he has no control of them. It's like a big free-for-all. Right. And they can say, oh, well, he's a player's coach. Awesome. That's great. But you have no control of the team. You have no control of the team. We had 14 or 15 penalties yesterday, and it was like stupid shit, like back-to-back false starts.
Right.
Back-to-back.
Because stuff like that, and I hate to say this, like, that's not Kellen Moore's fault. And as far as, like, the play calling went, like, his play calling was fair.
Where was Kellen Moore's creativity, so to speak, this whole entire season?
Well, I would say he was probably limited, and the reason he's limited is because McCarthy had a lot of time to kind of like go over what
Kellen Moore is the guy, and literally McCarthy said when he came in that this is Kellen Moore's offense. He's going to be the influencer, but it's Kellen Moore's calling the plays. Yeah. It wasn't McCarthy. And from what you've seen in the last 2 or 3 seasons where Dallas had the number 1 offense in the NFL, but their defense was terrible, now they finally have a defense that plays well, and your offense sputters. To me, that's Kellen Moore, 100% his call, and he's the one to me that he was one of many, not just the only guy, but he's one of many that dropped the ball yesterday. There was zero creativity this season in Kellen Moore's play calling. Like, Dak was off the entire season. It wasn't like he got a bunch of new receivers to throw to. You're throwing to the same damn guys you've had on the team for the last 3 years. And now you don't know how fast CeeDee Lamb is. You're throwing it 10 feet over his head, and you're throwing the ball at Dalton Schultz's feet. Well, you've had the same tight end for the last 2 years.
No, yeah.
What all of a sudden you can't sync with these guys?
Right.
Like, what's the difference?
And you're right. And so going into next year with the Cowboys, they're in trouble. They're over the cap. They have some serious issues they're going to have to look at. And the number one issue I think they have to do is they have to cut Zeke. They got to get rid of him.
We can't, though.
Or
I was so
him.
mad, Jimmy, when we signed him for the $90 million. First of all, I was pissed off that he was requesting he was going to hold out 2 years. Like, we're due to pay Dak. Wait your damn turn.
Right.
Wait your turn. It's Dak's year this year because he was drafted in the 4th round. You were a first-round pick, so it's 1 year less. Wait your turn. But instead, he took the selfish route and just said, I'm going to hold out. I would have been like, okay, hold out then. Fine. We have Tony Pollard. Hold out. Go ahead. That's the way I would have been. Instead, we give him this gigantic payday, which everybody knows you don't give your running backs these huge paydays because what happens? They stop playing hard. Yeah. When you see it every single year, these guys have MVP seasons like Sean Alexander, and then what happened to him?
Right.
Fell off a cliff.
It handcuffs your whole organization.
Yeah, so now we can't. We can't cut him until 2023. We can't. And who's going to take that giant contract? Nobody took that giant contract. You're going to be in the same situation we're with Le'Veon Bell. So now you can't. So now we're handcuffed. So now we're screwed. We still have the pieces, but the coaching is terrible. So you need to get somebody to come in there that can win with this current roster. And that's it. That's final.
Who's that guy?
Don't know. Don't know him.
I mean, if that job was available and I was Brian Flores,
Oh my God! Could you imagine Flores
there would
at least he'd
phenomenal.
be a badass and take that locker room over.
Well, and that's what he would do is that Flores would take that over, and that he knows that he's not the guy for the offense. So you could even, I know you're not thrilled, you could leave Kellen Moore in place if you wanted to, and literally.
Well, I think that's why Brian Flores has not accepted a job right now. I think he's on the wait and see. I think
he's the number one candidate. So yeah, why would you take a job right away? Because to me, he's the number one candidate for all these jobs. So just wait until all these teams get eliminated, and then you have your pick. I think he's the number one guy.
You know what's killing me though is that I've heard nobody talking about this today, right? Nobody talk about this, Why is Bieniemy not being mentioned for head coaching jobs?
I'll tell you exactly why.
Why?
Because he's had 3 years to do it and many, many, many interviews. So clearly, we're not sitting in on these interviews.
Of course.
Clearly, his interview skills are terrible.
Yeah.
Terrible. Because he's doing his job as offensive coordinator. But, dude, how many... I haven't looked it up. But if you go back and look it up, see how many jobs he's interviewed for. There's clearly something that he's not doing or not saying correctly in these interviews where everyone's like, ooh, that's a hard pass for me. That's the only thing.
I think he probably comes off a little urban. He played for the Chargers. I watched him as a kid. Watched him play for those teams.
Good running back.
Whenever he did an interview, he was not the most, intellectual sounding guy.
Okay, but
that might be the thing that's hurting him. But I don't know. It kills me that he's not getting a chance with what that team continues to do.
Yeah, but
what that team did with
prime example.
Not Mahomes on the field last
year. Let's bring up that. So, how are these coaches getting these jobs right in the coattails of probably the second best quarterback to ever play the game?
Yeah.
Like, I'm with the owners. So I'm not going to give this guy a job knowing that he has Patrick. I could coach the damn Chiefs offense and score touchdowns. I'm going to say, okay, what play do you want to run now? Go ahead. Patrick Mahomes, go do whatever you want
This is the Adam Gase theory. Because Adam Gase got all these jobs because he was Peyton Manning's offensive coordinator.
I'm glad you brought this up. I'm glad you bring that up. But how many guys currently will have it when we're done from the Patriots hold head coaching positions from coming from Belichick's tree? And I say that because the NFL, I hate to say it, they don't see it the way you do. They look at it as, I'm willing to take a risk. My job's coming up as a possibility. I gotta throw the Hail Mary, whatever it is. That's what these guys do, and there's guys out there right now. If you're coming in and taking the GM position with the Jets, right? If you're coming in and taking the GM position with the Jets, you know already you have 2 years. You have 2 years to get something done.
To prove yourself.
The Giants, you might only have a year.
Okay,
right.
I have a rebuttal to that.
Okay, do you know what I'm saying?
Okay, because Bill Belichick has been thought of as the greatest head coach of all time, right? So when you're picking these guys from his tree,
of course,
it's different than picking guys from the Andy Reid tree. No one comes out there, even though Andy Reid's a good coach and he's won Super Bowls with 2 different teams. No one goes out there and says, "Man, I really want somebody from the Andy Reid tree." Have you ever heard anybody say that?
49ers did.
But you say Bill Belichick. You say Bill Belichick, and everyone's like, I'll take his, the guy that ties the shoelaces on the kicker. I'll take him as my guy that ties the shoelaces on the kicker.
Like Joe Judge?
Yeah.
Like Joe Judge.
Like Joe Judge was a perfect
because
example.
Because Belichick is thought of differently like that. You know what I mean? No one looks at Andy Reid as a genius.
With Belichick, they know in the preparation.
Right.
You know that you're going to get the prep. When you hire that coach from that Belichick tree, he's trained up all of his guys to where they know how to prepare for a football game. And I think that's what you're looking for in the NFL. You're looking for guys that know how to get your guys ready, prepare them to play on Sunday, and that's all you're looking for. The players are going to play. Like,
do you think, and I'll go back to that draft a couple years ago, do you think that a player on Belichick's team, even Tom Brady, when he was with the Patriots, if he said, hey, I want you to take this running back in the first round, do you think Belichick would have been like, okay, let's just do that? He would have been like, no, I know you like him, and if he's there later, we'll take him, but we're not taking him. But what did Mahomes do when CEH was coming out? No one thought CEH was an every down back, right? He was a receiving specialist at LSU. That was his gig. And Mahomes in the first round said, I want CEH. And Reed was like, okay, CEH. And what's that done for them?
He hasn't played.
I know the jury's still out on CEH, but they're trying to take him as a passing specialist in college and make him an every down bell cow, and that's not what he is. No, so you drafted the wrong guy for what you want to do.
Yeah.
Other guys are running. Jerick McKinnon had a great game. Jerick McKinnon, it used to be a backup in Minnesota.
I was going to say he got cut from Minnesota.
Yes. So you're talking about that's the type of stuff I'm talking about with the whole Belichick and Reid tree is that it's two different outcomes altogether. That's why.
And I agree. And one thing we'll see, and we'll definitely see it here in the next couple of weeks, is these coaching vacancies become not vacancies anymore.
Mm-hmm. What's the first one filled?
The best team. It's going to be, or however much, like say the Jets, like if they find a GM and then they give the head coach like a lot of control, that might be the first one filled.
just going in, it's like.
I'll say the Bears.
I think the Bears are close already. I think they really want Flores. We'll see if it happens.
Yeah.
And I think he's a perfect fit wherever he goes. I think Miami's absolutely stupid for getting rid of a guy that owned a locker room. His players played for the guy.
They leaked all his information too. Did you see that?
Oh, yeah.
Like the Dolphins, you know damn well it was the upper management because they looked stupid firing and all Dolphins guys are like, "What are you doing? This guy's good. Like, why are you letting him go?" And then all of a sudden, like a few days later, the management started leaking all these stories like, "Oh, he got into it with Tua and they had these screaming matches and then he treated this player like crap." And it's like, okay, because even the players that's not happening.
He owned the locker room and he did what a head coaching job or a head coach should do and says, "Listen, I don't care who you are. This is my team. This is how we're going to play the game." And they played hard. I really like the guy. Well, I was hoping he'd go to New York. There's no chance he's going to the Giants.
He doesn't want that job.
Nobody. Do you want that job?
I don't even want that job.
You know
if
you're
they give it to me,
gonna be
I'd be
done.
like, no, I'll pass.
You got 2 years.
I'd rather work at the Palazzo on game day.
So that's the thing.
Yeah.
You're getting two.
You got 2 years.
That's what you're getting.
You're not going to win. You're tied into Daniel Jones. They're going to pay Saquon Barkley a ton of money for no damn reason.
You better hope they don't.
You're not.
They're going to.
You're not drafting well. You haven't been drafting well.
Your offensive line's 31st.
Yeah.
Like, you have no chance to win in the next 2 years.
Yeah.
So whoever takes that job, it should be a college guy that's like, hey, I just want to get my feet wet in the NFL. Like, because no NFL guy that really wants a job should take it. They should all run for the hills.
So
they have no chance to win.
When I first heard Flores fired, my immediate thought was, that's where Harbaugh goes. Then I stopped myself, and I realized Harbaugh's smart enough to know that he doesn't want to get in with that ownership group. I believe the first one that will go off the board will be the Jags.
Yeah.
And I think Harbaugh goes to the Jags.
Jacksonville, huh?
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's got a stable of horses in there, and
you got a quarterback of the future. You got a quarterback of the future.
He figures in 2 years
I think that's probably
he can work the draft and go.
The best job available, unless the Cowboys job comes open. I think the Jaguars job for me as a coach, I'd be enticed to go there. First off, you're going there. There's no state tax, so you're gonna make a little extra money.
Yeah.
You're gonna go in there. There's great weather in Jacksonville. You got.
Well, and you're in Jacksonville, so it's a little more college feely.
Yeah.
It feels a little more college.
And there's not a lot of expectations on you.
Right.
Nope.
Look at what the Jaguars have done. They kept their coaches around for a while. It's not like they're like every year getting a new coach. No, they bring the coach in. They let him kind of develop, and I think that's a prime spot.
And
for
the Urban Meyer thing was that's not normal for that.
They had to do that.
But I got to give them a lot of credit to be able to pull that trigger.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah.
All right, fellas. Well, that's it for Game Day Huddle episode number 12. We really appreciate you guys joining us again. If you guys have any questions, comments, or concerns, please hit Jay, Steve, or myself up on Facebook or Instagram. We'll be here to answer all your needs or questions. We'll see you guys in some breaks in the near future.
Right on Drip.
12:30. Download the Drip app, guys. It's posted on social medias. Go in and hit the link. Download the Drip app. You can watch it in both there and you can get in today. I know you guys are off, so come join us on Drip. We'll be doing personals. I got to run. I got to run and grab the pull stacks box from the guys in the back.
Boom.
All right,
Warehouse
fellas.
boys.
Warehouse boys. Check it out. Let's go monster hunting.
Let's go.